This world is so fucked up right now. They announced that there's aliens and nobody even cares.
Nobody.
Nobody even cares.
Phoebe cares.
I say it all the time. What is going on with that? Why does nobody care?
I'm just saying, like, look. like literally, you still worried about me? Like, don't you realize that AT is ready to come down here and fuck all of us? Like, come on, man. Like, look, we don't even know what's out there. And you worried about me having some kinks in my hair? Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Like, we can wake up next year and they infiltrated, women with alien DNA and humans start being born with 5 legs and 6 arms. And it's like, yo, man, but you still worry about the colors of my skin.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk about cannabis.
Community violation. Code Green Plant.
Hi, and welcome to Code Green Plant. I'm your host, Christy Chanel, and I'm here with my co-host, Phoebe.
Hey, Christy. You started that one.
I know. We are freaking tired, if you want us to be honest, because we just had, how long was that? Two and a half hours?
Yeah.
I'm
and then
sweaty.
We had to take a break. We had technical difficulties, like always.
Always. Honestly, it was all worth it.
It was so worth it. James Massie out of California. No, I just wanted to rewind and mention how much we did today and that it's midnight and we both worked 8 hours. Then we both went to our son's sporting events.
Oh my God, we both did, yes.
We both did. And you had a rain delay, right?
So we were out on the bleachers. We got everybody, the alarm went off. I'm like, are we having a tornado?
Oh.
And it wasn't. It was lightning. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
they have an indoor facility.
Oh.
So they're like, we're all going to go inside. So we go in there and it's a freaking hot box. Like there's no air. These kids are playing in their helmets and their stuff. And we're like sweating. So then I'm like, oh my God, I got to get here by 9. But now I need to take a shower and I got to put stuff in the car because I'm going to Colorado tomorrow. And here we are. James is somebody that I really think that is beyond. I had no idea how intelligent he was. I had no idea of his pedigree. Wait till you hear his pedigree. He fought for our freedom and he's here to talk about cannabis freedom. It's kind of amazing. So
he's done so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He talks about 9/11. That's when he joined the
9/11.
He joined because of 9/11.
I'm tired. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's just delusional at this point. Enjoy the episode. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Things
Christy
happen.
said it's been that kind of day. So
It has been that kind of. Well, I'm a Cowboy fan, so I'm really
It's
not
all right.
doing well today. I'm just trying to kind of cope, so just bear with me. Well, it's nice to meet you, James. I haven't heard
Hello.
anything about you, but just like a couple of things. I know Jackie, and he used to have the office right next to me. So
Yeah, he was my first sergeant in the Marine Corps, so
I said he knows him a whole different way than we do.
Oh, definitely.
a whole different way. That back then we couldn't be talking about marijuana and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
And you guys are still buddies?
now we're buddies. I couldn't say we were buddies back then, 'cause nah.
Yeah.
You know what? Realistically, he was just more like a mentor to me. Because
So he wasn't like super hard or.
Oh no, he was super hard. Don't get it twisted. I mean,
can
he was
imagine.
very much like Mr. Miyagi, It was all with a purpose, It was all love. He taught me a lot. I'm really glad that I had him as a first sergeant because I went on after him to keep on going on in the Marine Corps and everything else like that. I did a whole 6 other years after him, so
So how long in total?
close to 10 years.
So how old were you when you joined?
I was 23 years old when I joined. I always wanted to join the military. September 11th happened my junior year, I think. I'm not exactly sure, sophomore, junior year. I'm not exactly sure. 3 months later from that, I was in the Marines.
Where'd you live at? What area did you live in when you joined?
I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a student at Morehouse College. The day that changed everything for everybody. That's how I ended up in the military.
9/11?
Yep, direct result.
Okay.
Yeah, I joined. September 11th happened in 2001, I think. I'm not exactly sure.
Yep. It is.
I was in Iraq in 2003.
I do want to ask you something about that. Where were you on 9/11? when this happened. I grew up in Jersey, so that's really close, and a lot of friends and family are in that area, and it was terrifying. So I'm just curious where you were when you heard about it.
Well, like I was a college student. I think I was either 20 or 21 years old, and literally I was waking up in some girl's house on her couch, and I had just literally just turned on the TV, and the news was on and everything else like that, and all of a sudden they just broke the story, and that's when the first one hit, and I was just watching it on TV, and they're talking about the first one, and I was on the phone with my friends like, hey man, come pick me up, like I'm at this girl's house and all this other stuff, and literally as I'm sitting there on the phone with him watching. He's like, yeah, man, something's happening in New York, this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching it right now. And as I'm watching it, you just see the other plane just come flying in, just boom, like, yo, did you just see that? Did that just really happen? Because, this is before the internet.
So that's what made you join the military. That's pretty amazing,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing because I didn't do anything after. Like, you did something, and I think that's admirable. I cried. I didn't do anything. That's what I did.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, I do want to tell you thank you for your service. So I guess I just kind of want to go back to your time in the military. You want to talk about some of that?
Where would you like from the beginning? From
the beginning. We got
the
time.
Beginning. Yeah, that's
okay.
What she's gonna say. Start from the beginning. That's what she'll say.
A long, long time ago. Okay. I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. My father's a lawyer. My mom was the personnel chief for the city of North Little Rock. Actually, my grandfather was the first black professor of the United States Naval Academy, stuff like that. My grandmother was one of the people at Jet Magazine working for the Johnson Brothers, all the other, I really do have a real story. All the other
pedigree is
I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of interesting that I got into the marijuana business. How did you do this? Because I also grew up in the Episcopal Church. I went to Little Rock Central High School, went to Morehouse College. I was actually in downtown Atlanta. There was a Marine Corps billboard literally right in front of me. One of the huge advertisements that they had was that you could call the phone and ask them any question and they could answer it for you. So I was like, okay, well, let me call. I was like, Marine Corps recruiters. I talked to them. They asked me some questions like this, and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go, whatever. And they're like, okay, we'll have a recruiter out to you. The next day, recruiters come. He's like looking at my scores and everything else like that because he asked me, he's like, so what would you like to do in the military? And I was like, I want to be infantry. And he's like, your scores say you can do whatever you want to go do in the military. You can go do anything you want to go do. What do you want to go do? I want to go fight wars. He just looks at me again. He's like, you can do anything you want to do.
He's like,
yeah. Yeah, I was just like, I want to go fight wars. He's like, no. He's like, all right, man. Look, I tried. Don't call me up later on and saying, hey, what the hell did you just get me into? I tried.
What were they testing you on? Was it your intelligence level that they thought you could go over here?
It's a standard test called the ASVAB that they make you take for going in the military. From what I understand, test you on everything. From what I've been told, it's actually something good to take, period, even if you don't want to go into the military, just to see what you're good at. And part of me, sometimes I do wish that I had to listen to them. Well, in the Marine Corps infantry, a lot of people don't understand is that, whenever we deployed, I was constantly reading books. I was constantly reading about things. And I was constantly thinking about the things that I wanted to do in my own life. And thinking about how would I do these things that I wanted to do.
What were some of the books?
48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, Sun Tzu books, some comic books, stuff like that. I actually did read a couple of history books. Literally anything you get your hands on because, movies and everything, they make combat look like it's just 24/7 around the clock, which there are days and times when it is like that. For my average time that I was over there, like I said, you could put it all into hours how much I was getting shot at. I did have nights where, it was just, nonstop and everything else like that, but it wasn't all day. I try to tell people all the time, worrying about back home, that's not what you want to do.
Did you write letters a lot? But it doesn't sound like you did.
I tried to. Being deployed in combat, you don't just learn a lot about where you're at. You learn a lot about people in general. One of the things I always heard from people was I'd write them, they wouldn't write back. And I'm like, hey, why didn't you write me back? And they'd be like, well, I didn't have time. It's funny because when you hear somebody say how they didn't have time and you were over there where 24 hours you're doing stuff, but you had time to do stuff, but they're like, well, I didn't have time. You just kind of look at them like, okay, I'm sitting in a dirt hole somewhere getting shot at and everything, but you learn a lot about people. Whenever I was home and everything, people hand you their business cards and things like that. They're like, hey, give me a call when you get out. I got a job waiting for you. Nah, that doesn't happen either. Because, everybody else around was like, oh, man, that's a real admirable thing to do. That's really cool that you're going to help him out. When you call, they don't remember who you are. Yeah,
That's really sad, actually.
Yeah, so you learn a lot. You really do.
So even aside from being there, like you said, you learned about people in general. Did that stuff like that kind of harden you up? Do you feel like, did it change you as a person experiencing that?
Yeah. You see on TV all the time, at least then you saw all the time, like how this veteran's getting help. This veteran's getting help. Oh, at this football game today, all these people, they stood up and they gave him a round of applause and all this other stuff. That didn't happen to me. That's not what happened to me. That's not what happened to the other guy I know. That's not what happened to him. The fortunate part for me was that I had a job when I got out.
What year was this when you got out?
2012. I was working 7 days on, off 7 days, but also I was still living in California, so I had to jump on the airplane, fly out to Texas, drive into New Mexico, work, then, I lost a lot in taxes. You want to talk about looking at your paycheck and crying? I really did, because you can be taxed by 3 states on one paycheck?
I did not know that.
Exactly. I learned that. I lived in California. The company was actually in Texas, but where we were working at was in New Mexico. It was terrible.
You helped our country. Like,
Yeah.
there should be something for that.
You know what? No matter what they want, they even taxed our paycheck when I was in the military. So it's like,
Oh, geez.
That's true.
it's like, we just can't get it.
Hard to think about.
Hey, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go fight for you, but I gotta pay you so I can go fight for you. So
That is such a good
welcome to America.
That is so bad. I wonder if that's something that military or vets are fighting for, is the tax thing. I had never ever thought about it until just now with you. But that's a big deal. And I would think that civilians like us would back that.
They're not.
100%.
Of course they're not.
Because we have to pay. I would.
How did you end up in California?
I got stationed out here. When I was in Iraq for my third and fourth time, I re-enlisted in the Marine Corps because they offered us a lot of money. And actually, that's actually the one time when you don't get taxes when you're in Iraq or Afghanistan. So it was like,
Okay.
that's literally the one time when you don't. But literally, you got to get like shot at and all types of things got to happen for you not to get taxed. That's why a lot of people actually like deploying and going out there, because that's when you start making your money. That's when they cut
Yeah,
off the
but
taxes.
it's terrifying.
I used to say, I'm like, this place would be so awesome. We could smoke weed. That it'd be like, first sergeant or your company gunny area. He's out here just and I was like, man, I just come walking up to him like, hey, yo, gunny, here, hit this real quick. And then I'm like, man, look, we just be sitting out all day, just like, hey, man.
But the other side would have to be doing it too.
But see, then there would be no more wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why don't we just send a whole bunch of pounds of marijuana to Ukraine and Russia? You have Zelensky and Putin over there just like, woo, man, what were we fighting about, man? Like, hey, United States, bring us some of those Twinkies y'all got. We want some Twinkies. We want some of the
there you
American
go.
Coca-Cola.
So I got to take you back. Let's go back a little bit. Let's
Okay.
rewind to when you decided that you were going to leave the military. Because you had to make that decision. You obviously went through a couple things. I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about what you went through. If you don't feel comfortable, that's cool. But if you do, it might help somebody else. So it's up to you.
Well, I decided to leave the military in my last deployment to Afghanistan. It was a different time by then. I joined the Marine Corps in 2003. It was 2012 by then. The mindset had changed. I was in the Marine Corps during my time where it was more about a brotherhood. But during this time, this was also the time in America where people were losing their jobs all the time and stuff like that. So it was more about, like, for the higher ups and things like that, it's more about job security. It was more about they were doing anything they could to keep their jobs and not really worried about the individual Marine anymore. Someone like me that's more worried about the Marine and changing values, I guess you could say, that what I valued, they didn't value. And the things that I thought were more important, they didn't. It's like anything else. You've been there for your time, and it's time to move on. And I'm just thankful that I was able to move on. That I was able to, I left with both my limbs, or not both my limbs, I apologize. All of my limbs.
Yeah, there you
go. No significant damage. My mom still has a child, so, I'm very thankful for that. My last deployment, I was in 3-5. We were involved in what's been named as, the bloodiest fighting in the whole Afghanistan war. What happened was some children got killed right in front of me. And I just came to that conclusion that, it's not worth it no more. This isn't worth it. Because they want me dead so bad that they're willing to kill these 2 kids in front of me. They didn't kill me. They killed some children. And in my head and in my body, or just in my head and my heart, I straight up told myself, like, man, this is not what I want. It's not worth this. Because I got it. You want me. I'm an adult. But these 2 children, what did they do? What did they do to you? I got it. I know what I did. I represent a country that you don't like. I got it. So I understand. But these kids were like 7 and 9 years old. And it's like, what did they do, man? They didn't do nothing to you. And so at that point, that's when I just came to that conclusion that, I'm not gonna be a part of this no more. This isn't. I don't want this, because if this is what's happening, that you're not even killing me, you're killing these kids. And I was like, that's not fair to them. These kids didn't have a chance in life. Because you get back and they're like, hey, you gotta clean your weapon. I was like, I don't even want to touch it. I don't want to touch that weapon. I don't even want to do this, man. Like I don't even, and that's why I just kept on telling, like, this isn't something I want to be a part of. After seeing something like that, and just like right in front of you, because like we did everything we can, we did everything we could to get those little girls out of there. We called in helicopters. We performed our life-saving techniques, everything we could, but it wasn't enough. And it'd be one thing those children died instantly, but they didn't. They didn't even die instantly. And it's just like, we were just sitting there holding them. It was like, I don't want, like, because you're sitting there telling them, like, hey, it's all right. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. And that was the other thing, that I just always thought was real fucked up, is that those children were not the first ones that I ever lost. I had lost Marines, too. And you're sitting there, you're holding their hand, and you just tell them, it's going to be all right, man. It's going to be all right, but in the back of your head, you're like, it's not all right, man. I'm sorry. But, you're sitting there, you're holding them and everything, and like, you're like, hey, man, it's all right. But literally, like, it's only half of them that's right there. And you're holding them and everything, you're trying to tell them it's all right. When they say that time is relative to the person that's in it at that moment, that's a true statement. It really is, because it only took 5 minutes for that helicopter to get there from the time those little children got hit. But that 5 minutes felt like 20, like at least 50 to 100 hours. Like, it felt like forever. That's what just made me want to just like, no, because now I'm in school for sociology. I go to school for sociology and stuff like that. At first, when I got out the military, I didn't smoke weed. In the military, they make it seem like it's just such a bad thing. Like, if you're in a room with somebody smoking, you're done. I'd have like bad dreams and stuff like that when I got back, and just, all that type of stuff. And I really wouldn't want to be around people and everything else like that. So I went to the scene that they have here in San Diego called Beer Fest. I really don't drink. I'm not a drinker. Like, it's very hard for me to drink alcohol. For most people, that's their go-to. It's just not something. I don't have nothing against it. That was nothing that was for me. So I tried doing that, but I started feeling queasy. I was like, nah, nope. And so I was just sitting there, and then like Ziggy Marley came out. They had like a concert of Ziggy Marley. Mm-hmm. So like I was like, oh yeah, let's go to the concert. But I'm sitting there feeling queasy. And this is a concert down in Southern California. So I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, here comes this magical cigarette coming flying through the crowd. Like, what's this? Mm-hmm. And they're like, and somebody just hands it to me, like, yo, puff on this. Oh man, I'll never forget that. It was like, you ever seen that movie Old School? Where Frank the Tank, he's like, when it hit your lips, oh, it was so good, just when it hit your lips. I don't know what it was, but just when that little joint it just touched my lips, I was just like, yeah, just where have you been my entire life? That's what I needed. I figured it was all right for me to smoke weed since we're talking about weed, so
There you go.
And you're in California, so it's really okay for you.
Yeah. Well, I figured it might be a little bit better for your podcast, to actually, as I'm sitting here talking about it, taking a toke from you. So I was at the concert, somebody passed me a joint, and I smoked it, and I was like, And like, literally, the heavens opened up to me and everything else like that. And this was like before I even got like my medical rating, like, you know, your PTSD rating, like, you know, you're 90% disabled, all this other stuff. It was before I even gotten all that, before I ever got counseling. And so I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I didn't have a marijuana card, I didn't have anything else like that. And I didn't, like I said, I'm not from here, you know, so I didn't even know anybody to go get weed from. Like, we had these missions where we like drive around for 30, 40 minutes, like an hour just to find an ounce of weed, you know, like shit like that. Shortly thereafter, that's when I started doing my medical evaluation.
Can I ask you something before you jump into that? I want you to take me back to right when you got out. So what was it like that first week of not being in the military?
I was at work on the oil rig that very first week.
Immediately.
Okay.
I didn't have an opportunity to think about that type of stuff. It was literally I took off my uniform and put on some jeans and drove out the door.
How long were you in the oil rig? How long did you have that job?
For about maybe 6 months.
You didn't have to feel anything for 6 months. So when did you feel it?
Well, I always felt it. I want to say what I did was I had started like going to the VA and everything else like that, so I could start getting my disability money and stuff like that. And so they sent me to counseling and all this other stuff. But at the time, I think like one of the quickest solutions that they had to help anybody was just to give you pills.
What made you think, okay, I need to talk to somebody? Was it the nightmares you were talking about earlier?
That was just, you know, I needed money too. Because, you know, I was seeing, like I said, the guys that got out before me, they had everything taken care of. Mm-hmm. They had, and I didn't, and nobody even showed me how to even do it. That was like my only way to even get the ball rolling. When I tried those pills and everything else like that, that's what made me I was like, I don't want to do this. This isn't something I want to do. I don't want to be taking these things. I don't know how anybody can do those pills or anything else like that, because I knew I was in my body, but I felt like I wasn't there. You know, just feel like a walking zombie. I don't recommend that stuff to anybody. I really don't. But the weed, I do. Weed is great.
Okay.
I went to therapy and all that other stuff, and, you know, talk things out with my therapist. And
Did it help you?
Yeah.
You recommend it?
I do, but it's, you know, no matter what it is. Well, according to my mom, no matter what, everybody should have a therapist. She says everybody should. Everybody. No matter what it is, you all should, so.
She's not wrong. I mean, it doesn't hurt to talk about what you're going through, whatever it is.
No, not at all. I have veterans that go to school with me still. And just regular people, besides veterans, I always tell them, like, hey, you know, go talk to a therapist. That alone is a battle for people, just going to talk to a therapist.
Some people don't want to admit that they need to talk to somebody. They want to just take it on themselves.
But,
you know?
But here's the trick, though. Again, we go back to this lucky plant right here.
That's right.
For real.
Your relationship with marijuana is...
It's a very loving relationship.
You've tried a loving relationship. Yeah. Let's say, so you tried medications, you've tried, you know, the pharmaceutical route, the counselor route, but this one is the one that's probably most consistent for you, huh? Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, like, my brain feels normal. That's actually what put me at normal.
I was just wondering, like, when you first, I guess, decided this was the route you were going to take, what worked best for you, did you have, like, pushback from people you knew where, you know, people were saying they were concerned about you?
I didn't have pushback when I was first started smoking it. I did just a little bit, like, from people that I knew that were in the military and that hadn't gotten out yet. But I got more pushback when I started selling it. I got more pushback from that.
Selling it legally?
Yes.
Okay.
But letting people know. It wasn't necessarily, it was like people that I went to church with back home, people from back home and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. People in California, whatever. They didn't give two shits. They're like, hell yeah, man. Like, okay. Like, welcome to the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, yay, you're doing something the rest of us do. It was mostly pushback from people that I went to church with and things like that. But there's a reverse side to that. People I went to church with also were contacting me.
Haha.
And we're like, hey, man, like, you know, I don't know where to get this stuff from. Can you help me out? You know, what should I try? I don't know who to talk to about this. It was also people I was in the military with that were contacting me and letting me know, hey, look, You know, I've been having issues. I've been having things going on in my life. I just start coming up with ways and just thinking about how I can help out other people and just not just help myself. Once you provide people with a means to help out whatever it is that they got going on, things change. I use it as a tool of influence because when the 2020 presidential election came around, I told people, if you show me that you even registered to vote, I will give you some free weed. Show me that sticker saying you voted. I use it as a tool to, hey, let's get people active. Let's get people out there because, you know, I don't mean to get on a soapbox right now, but I'm a huge social political advocate. I love America. I once wrote this country a check for my life. So for me to sit back and watch it fall apart, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Because I lost friends, I lost time with my family, I lost family members while I was over there. I started using this as a means of influence, of a means of change. Because it might not have, I might not have changed something in the whole global spectrum, but I know at least where I live and around here, I know it did do something. I know it did get people up into the polls. But I feel like war has been declared on me. I feel like war has been declared on Native Americans. I feel like war has definitely been declared on women. So it's just like, look, we, you know, this is the Hunger Games. Like, you know, it's just that, you know, they just haven't started flying planes and stuff over us. And they're not just shooting us with artillery. But it's warfare. And so I was like, you know, something's got to be done. What I do is, we have like these weed sessions, like I was telling you about, in these weed shows and everything else like that. That is just a way to get everybody to one spot. Like literally, this right here is nothing but my carrot on a stick. That's all it is. Because I got endless supplies of this. This is easy. When people come to our shows, when they come to our sessions, it's not just about sitting down and let me get some marijuana. It's about sit down, here, let's talk, let's socialize. We got open mic over here. We got somebody over here that's just singing. We got somebody over here that they got something to say. Hey, look, we got some social workers over here. Do you need, you know, are you eating right? Do you have, you know, some sort of health concerns? Anything else like that? Because yes, I do serve a lot of the veteran community, but a lot of the veteran community is homeless. A huge portion of it. And I try and tell people all the time that one door opens up another. Because I never thought that selling marijuana would turn me into a social worker. I never ever thought that the community that I live in, just and when I say the community, I'm literally talking about my neighbors. Not just like when I say the community, I'm just like oh well, people like me. No, I'm talking about literally the area that I live in. That I'm able to provide them with jobs and stuff like that and income. And like I walk to school sometimes because the school's right around the corner from my house. But sometimes when I walk to school, some of the little kids will sit there and carry my backpack. And I'm like, why'd you do this? It's like, because my mom and dad told me to come out here and do this for you. Because you're the reason why we got a roof over our head. And I'm like, man, like, you know, like, teardrop.
Yeah.
You know, like wow. Like, I appreciate that. Like here in California alone, if you want to go to a dispensary and go get an eighth of marijuana, you're paying close to $80 to $90. How is that helping the veteran that's barely making it and who's suffering through PTSD, anxiety, or anything else like that? If I charge him $90 for an eighth of weed, I'm just as bad as the next person. I'm not giving. He's trying to do this as an opportunity to stop him from having his pain, but so he can function. But I'm stopping him from having his pain, but now he can't afford to have gas to get to work. Now he doesn't have money to feed his children. So now he's got to make a decision. Am I going to go through this or am I going to stop my pain? So I started off, I was making baked goods. I was making like Twinkies and things like that. That's how I started off. I know how to cook. My grandma taught me how to cook. That's one thing to this day. Thank you, Grandma.
What was your edibles? So what were your top sellers?
It was Twinkies, cookies.
You mentioned that a couple times, Twinkies. You must be a fan of a Twinkie.
I love Twinkies.
Like
I love Twinkies. I just want to say that they don't have Twinkies in Iraq. But Twinkies, cookies, brownies, Rice Krispies, churros, just you name it.
Okay.
And then people start asking me for flowers. So I was like, okay. And then, you know, like I said, one thing leads to another.
So did you get a brick and mortar? You have a store, a dispensary?
I did because what I was trying to do, I was trying to open up a bakery. I wanted to be California's first bakery. But the area that I wanted to put in, they've literally sold everything in that area. All that is just sold. There's a lot of they're pushing out people in the community. But as far as storefront, yes, me and my buddy, we have a spot in Vista, California. There's not really too much here in Oceanside where I live because it's, like I said, we do a lot of social justice stuff because there's a lot going on out here that people are very much unaware of. And especially in the marijuana industry.
Okay, so what? What's going on? Tell us.
Okay, so for, I don't know if you know anything about drug laws in America, but most of the drug laws in America have been racially motivated.
We do. We just did the history of weed, by the way.
Okay.
That's coming out next week, and we discovered a lot of bullshit.
Yes, it's a lot of bullshit. And one of the huge things about it is, especially here in California, and I hate to have to say this, is thanks to our Vice President, Kamala Harris, by the way, who, as her time when she was the DA in Sacramento, put a lot of people of color in prison for marijuana. And that's the problem that we're having out here now is because for the longest time, it has been very hard to sell marijuana, or people were getting locked up for it. But now, since the marijuana game has become more lighter shaded, you could say, the restrictions have eased up on them. And it's like, wow, we've been doing this for years, and it's been hard as fuck for us. But now, when they want to step in, they get to take whatever they want to. And so it's a huge thing that's going on right now. They try to tell you that America's, land of opportunity and everything else like that. But what you see is that the opportunity is there, but it depends on who you are to seize that opportunity. There's actually dispensaries that are here in my area, or they were in my area, they got shut down. They got raided by the police and all types of stuff. But the difference is that dispensaries here that are minority owned are the ones that are getting shut down. It's not the non-minority owned ones. And
what's the difference? Besides
that's the
color?
difference. That's
There's
the only
no
difference.
other difference.
There's no other difference.
So, but why are they doing that? Why are they even? What's their cause?
That's
the legal backing.
That's really the real question. Like, why? And nobody seems to be able to answer that question. Like, why? Because it's a real question. Like, why did you choose them over them? Why would you do this?
In their hand.
Yeah, what is it? And I've asked this question before because, like, I've even seen them literally sit outside of one dispensary, not do nothing, and I'll pull up to another one, and as I'm pulling in, I'm literally turning around because there's police cars coming in too. It's like, not today, Satan, not today. So it really is. It's a real thing, and because honestly, I hate to think that it's really hard to come to terms with just racism in this world. That's just a really hard thing to believe in. That we can put a man on the moon, we can duplicate people.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But we can put a man on, okay. Maybe we can put a laser on the moon,
There you go.
We'll do the Dr. Evil, maybe. But yeah. But we have the means in the realm to understand that type of stuff. But yet mankind can't understand that people are born a different color. That's just that to me is like, wow. I use this as a tool of influence, as a tool of just getting people to sit down and talk to each other. Because I listen to Chuck D, Public Enemy, Fight the Power a lot, and he says it right there. It's about awareness. Just like us three, we're sitting here having this conversation right now. It's more understanding now. Because maybe now some people that might tune into this podcast, look at it however their means might be, has a different understanding of just marijuana, period, and towards veterans or just towards people, period. This is a huge thing for mental health. This is just
huge.
This is huge. Mm-hmm. And right now in our country, mental health is something that's not even understood. It's not even, and that's something that really needs to get addressed. Besides everything else. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have anything else, but that's something. But this is huge. And to think all it takes is just for them to take it off just a roster. Just stop putting
I had a video where I'm talking about my mom, and she had bipolar. She didn't know she had it, and so she would smoke weed, but it was every day at my house. I grew up with it. And she didn't know she had bipolar, but that was making her survive. She didn't even realize it. And so I put this post out there on Facebook, and people came in, it's like 100,000 people are viewing this, and they're all commenting and they're all saying how important it is for their mental health, how it's getting them through the day. And they're being vulnerable. They're sending paragraphs and paragraphs. So I know that we're touching people.
Yeah.
I know that we're there. We just got to keep going.
Yeah, I would like to tell you one of the scariest moments I had in my life. And it was during COVID. I was dating this young lady, and she had lost her housing and all types of stuff right before COVID. So she had moved in with me with her children and everything else like that. And she was getting therapy and things like that, but she was also having to take medication. Well, when COVID hit, everything shut down. Everything. She wasn't able to get her medication. And man, when I tell you, like, seeing somebody that has some real mental health issues, all of a sudden not be able to get that medication, like, you want to talk, like I said, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. Because I seeing somebody break down like that. When I gave her that marijuana, man, it was like, wow. But the problem is that she became so dependent on that. Because there's only so strong and so much that you can give to somebody, especially during that time of COVID, where it was very hard to get access to everything. All these things that I kept on seeing, that's what made me want to get into this business. Because it was just like, man, like this really is I don't even know what to say. Like, I want to say like we're in a mental health crisis, but there's so many crises going on right now. It's not even funny. So you know.
Yeah, you can say that. I think it's accurate for where we are.
And it's bringing people together. You're trying to bring people together. I mean, you're using it for good. And I think that's a big, big deal. If you could say anything to the public, what would be the thing that you want to tell people?
About marijuana or just about life, period?
Anything. Whatever you want to talk to people about.
I would tell people this. The time for relaxation is over with. Unfortunately, it's not the time to relax anymore. That it's time to sound the alarm. That if you can't tell that we are all under attack. Minorities, women, even children. If they choose to be transgender or have certain pronouns. There's no line that's drawn or anything else like that. There's nothing that's taboo. There's nothing that's sacred anymore, I guess you could say. So it's time to say, hey, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. And maybe you should try this. Maybe you should give this a try, because when people say, hey, I tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, I've tried that. Well, did you try this? No, I didn't. Well, try it. Something I was once told and something I say myself is that I'm not smart enough to know everything, but I'm dumb enough to try anything. That's something that we need to do. And so anybody that's listening to me, anything else like that, or hears me anything, and you got taboos about marijuana, or you never tried it, you got things going on in your life, you got somebody that you know that has something going on in your life, well, why don't you just sit them down real quick? Give them a gummy. They don't even have to smoke. Give them a gummy. Give them something to smoke on. But I will say this. Let them know that you're giving them something. Don't just give them something.
I mean, thank you for clarifying.
Yes. Let me say that one.
I appreciate that.
Yes. I will say that one.
But he told me to do it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So let me throw in my little PSA warning. We all, each and every one of us, everybody that's listening to everything, we all live on this little rock that's floating through space. And that's all it is. This world is so fucked up right now, they announced that there's aliens and nobody even cares.
Nobody.
Nobody even cares.
Phoebe cares.
I say it all the time. What is going on with that? Why does nobody care?
I'm just saying, like, look. like literally, you still worried about me? Like, don't you realize that AT is ready to come down here and fuck all of us? Like, come on, man. Like, look, we don't even know what's out there. And you worried about me having some kinks in my hair? Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Like, we can wake up next year and they infiltrated, women with alien DNA, and humans start being born with 5 legs and 6 arms. And it's like, yo, man, but you still worry about the colors of my skin. Like, come on, man. So yes, people, you just gotta wake up. Just look, we're in 2023. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop repeating everything that we had in the fucking history books. I'm sorry. Let's get our little collective peace pipe. Every day I hear my professor literally say it, that regardless, we're gonna be in a civil war. I don't want that. I really don't.
No.
I really don't, because I spent 10 years of my life in a war zone. That shit sucks. Like it really does. And I'm just starting to get my life back. We do still have a democratic process in our country. Well, at least they say we do. Write a letter to your congressman, your city councilman. Let's get this legalized like a cigarette is. Not permitted, not saying, hey, it's for recreation. No. Let's get it so that you can walk into a gas station, buy yourself a little marijuana, drive safely.
Yeah. I want to say a PSA now. I don't recommend you go to a gas station and get CBD stuff or any type of stuff at a gas station because they're not regulated. It's junk. Go to a dispensary. Thank you. I'm done.
But I was just saying in the future. Let's make it like that in the future.
In the future, yes.
And the reason why I say that is so that...
I don't want them to get confused.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say that is so that it's easily accessible, but under legal means. That's also the difference between myself and a regular dispensary, though. Because a regular dispensary... Have y'all ever been to California? Or where are y'all located at?
We're in Texas.
Okay. If you actually go to a dispensary, it means that you don't know what you're doing. Dispensaries are for the tourists. They're for the people that don't know any better. Because, like I said, when you go to a dispensary, you're paying $90 for an eighth.
Yeah.
You're paying $90 for that.
But somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and they're trying to use it medicinally needs somebody to help them figure out what's going to work for their body. So that's why I'm saying it, because you're hoping the bud tenders are educated.
And that's the thing. I do go to a lot of them. They don't know any, because I'll go in there and I'll just ask questions.
That's annoying.
Yes, they're trying to make a sell. Now, versus when you go to that sesh, this sesh for short sessions, you got it's almost like the mom and pop spots, the low end guy that. They're not just trying to make a sale, but they're trying to make a customer. Marijuana education. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had people call me up and be like, I've ate too many edibles. What do I do? I'm like, ah! Well, first of all, you got some Twinkies? You got
Twinkies.
Yeah, I'm like, hey.
We need to sponsor Twinkies.
Yeah.
No, they need to sponsor us.
They need to sponsor us.
Hey, Twinkie, I'm giving y'all enough shout-outs right now that you need to pay these ladies. Okay? You can just send me a lifetime supply. That works fine.
I
You
gotta
don't even
find
have
a
to
Twinkie
pay.
emoji.
Yeah.
Dancing across the screen. So what's the name of your dispensary?
Yoski Buds, you can find it on Instagram. YOSKI, like almost like Yoshi, but
Okay.
Yoski. BUDZ.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, what do you have? Do you have flour? Do you have oils?
You got everything.
All of it? Or?
You got everything.
Okay.
Now, if you want to, also, you can contact me personally at MOCHA0351 on Instagram.
Okay.
That's better because
Yeah, go
a lot of
follow
things.
him.
And that's a better way for you to get into the Yoski Bud site.
Will you come back on the podcast some other time?
Anytime you want to.
I feel like because we could keep talking, but
we
it's
could.
like almost midnight out here.
This is the longest podcast we've ever had.
Well, I hope it'll be enjoyable to everybody.
That's awesome.
I think it will be. It's been so good.
One time to First Sergeant Jackie Evans, thank you very much for putting me in contact with these ladies. Thank you to the United States Marine Corps. Hopefully one day you'll let people smoke.
Thank you.
One day.
Yep.
Okay. And anybody that's listening or anything else like that, if you have any type of mental health issues or just anything that you ever just want to talk about, if you can't talk to your neighbor, you can't talk to a friend or anything else like that, you can contact me. And I'll stand by my words. You can contact me. I'll sit down with you. I'll Skype you, video chat with you, whatever else like that. I'll stay awake with you. I'll do whatever because I'd rather spend an hour, 2 hours talking to you than spending 30 minutes staying at your funeral. And I mean that. This might be about marijuana or whatever else like that, but like I said, we're all stuck on this rock together. And
That's right.
we need whatever we can to get through our day. I'm a constant mental health patient because guess what? I am stuck on planet Earth and this place makes people go crazy. And there's nothing that you can't tell me that I won't understand unless you tell me that you grew a penis on your forehead. That right there might be pretty hard to understand. Okay. Well then,
Cutting that too.
Okay.
No, she's not. It's going to totally be in the clips.
I can understand everything except why you don't smoke marijuana.
Boom. I want to thank you, James, for being here. I also want to thank you for your service and being so, open and honest with people. And I think it's really going to be appreciated. I think everybody needs to go take a look at his dispensary. I have it below right now, so you guys can go look. Also follow him on Instagram. And we are going to have James back because I feel like we should definitely do something when it's time to vote. I'll get you on, and we'll start talking to the people and make sure they're getting out there and they're voting and share some information. So thank you, James.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
This episode of Code Green Plant was sponsored by Simply Vibin LLC. Code Green Plant is a Simply Vibin production hosted by Christy Chanel along with her co-host Phoebe James. This podcast is not intended to be used for medical advice and is solely the opinion of the host. Please consult your physician. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Want more? Visit www.simplyvibin.com. And a special thank you to the core group of people who helped with the creation of the Code Green Plant podcast. We appreciate you simply vibing with us.
Code Green Plant. Shh.